Why homework needs to be banned by Dumanity. I don't know. I mean, homework is pretty useless. Fun fact, they did like a few statistics on homework and realized it's not even in the top 100 most helpful things. It's like that bad. It is that bad. He did sue him. He promised that his music is safe. Well, free, but still. Let's see about homework, chat.
Finland has some of the highest academic scores in the world and outperforms almost every other country. You want to know how much?
Ironically enough, they also have the highest usage of antidepressants. They're not as happy as they want to tell you.
Homework these students do? The teenagers do 3 hours a week, and the kids get 0. So maybe we don't need to be doing so much homework. Maybe homework is actually hurting our education. That's right, hurting. And this isn't just my opinion. This claim is backed up by scientific research. If our schools and colleges stop giving homework, our societies will see drastic improvements in intellect and education.
See, nowadays, right, in today's time, I do not see why you would give kids homework. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do their homework with AI. That's the truth. Look, I did most of my homework with AI. I did most of my homework with AI. I'm not even kidding. The moment like stuff like that became available, somewhat available, I started doing it. I remember when like the math apps dropped, where you could could take a photo of like an equation and it would just solve you it in like minute like small steps, and you could just copy it. That's what I did. I didn't give a rat's ass, dude. And I think most kids are not doing this nowadays as well. It's just so stupid. And texts. See, you can write your texts with AI. You just need to change them up a little bit. Switch out the words a few so it sounds less robotic, and the problem's solved. And it doesn't even cause any issues. They're not even gonna notice. Especially in schools, they're not gonna check. They're not gonna check whether or not you did your homework with AI. Teachers are not gonna check. I won't check that. Nuh-uh. F schools. I mean, schools are fucked up because, well, the problem with our schools nowadays is that they're basically built on an old system. Schools nowadays are still made to create factory workers when that's not what we need, right? I never did homework. I never did homework in middle school. Like, I never did. I just didn't care. And the consequences were so minute that I really didn't care. God, you don't know how crazy it sounds to someone who didn't use AI at all in school. My AI was the calculator. In high school, we programmed our own, like, you had, like, all calculators, you could reprogram them to do things that they would normally not be able to do, and you wouldn't get caught either. You wouldn't get caught. That didn't happen. Homework is stressful, to be honest, and it's just a waste of time. It really is. I feel like if you're a really good teacher, you don't need to give students homework. They will understand what you're trying to teach them in class.
And if you don't believe me, you will by the end of this video. A student shouldn't be doing hours and hours of work. Work is meant for the office. Work is meant for the salaryman doing their 9 to 5. A student is not a worker. A student goes to school to learn, not work, which is
yeah, but that's what the system is built on, right? The system is built on creating factory workers. I used to use my calculator to write boobies. That's all. Same.
exactly why homework hinders learning. A study published by the American Psychological Association found that time spent on homework had a negative correlation to standardized test scores. Students who were assigned more homework performed worse on these tests than students assigned less homework. It sounds crazy, I know. But if you think about it, the less time a student spends on homework, the more time they can spend on actually studying and learning. Let's say there's a calculus class.
I think it's different. I think students perform worse when you force stuff on them. Do you think a student will perform well in math if he hates it and you're gonna bombard him with more of the stuff he hates. I don't think that the student would. I don't think they would improve. Actually, it would get worse, because now you're making them more miserable by feeding them what they hate. It just doesn't make sense. Like, if a student is bad, if students are bad in math, then the answer isn't to give them homework. The answer is to make them hate what they're learning less. Because I hated math. And because I hated math, I got worse and worse over time. Because, how do you put it? My disliking grew ever more, so that it's just like, I was just like done eventually. I just hated it. After 10th grade, I was like, goodbye. I'm not gonna engage with it again. Math is easy. English is hard. Nah, English is superb. I love English. I love English since homework was invented as a punishment. It should stay as a punishment. It shouldn't be mandated upon everyone. True. It is just like, it's just so useless, and it doesn't do anything for the students.
Class, and the teacher assigns derivative problems for homework. For the students who already understand how to do derivatives, they won't learn anything new from this homework. It's busy work for them. That's not education. And for students who don't understand derivatives,
This is me. I hate it. Also, see, I worked in a primary school for about a year, right? For the entire school year, my voluntary social year, right? And it was like, we had like on like afternoon right school, right? Where like you still need to take care of the students, do like homework and stuff. I had so many kids that cried if they weren't finished with their homework, because the parents would get mad at them. It's just crazy. It just is. It's so stupid. It is just so stupid. The thing with learning is that you need breaks to let yourself process the information, but if you're constantly cramming with homework, then your brain doesn't have a moment to settle and learn. I think I've read a few studies, and effectively you can learn for 45 minutes in a row, and then you need a break for like 10 to 15 minutes to process information. They don't even do that regular in school, so how would they do that? Like, it's just like, why are you doing that with the homework as well, if you can't even provide it in regular school?
What is this?
they'll be stuck trying to figure out how to solve these problems, and they won't learn anything. That's not education. So it's a lose-lose for everyone. Nobody benefits from this homework. Some people will say if students don't understand how to do it, they can search online for help. Then why the are we even going to school if we're just going to have to teach ourselves anyways? If a school system is good, a student should be able to rely solely on their school and teacher to teach them. Homework doesn't help us learn. Schools need to assign resources that actually help students learn at home. I'll explain how later in the video. If the homework is just to read a book or watch a few videos, then that's fine. I agree that's considered learning, but being forced to answer endless worksheets and writing long essays, that's not. A common point that people bring up is that homework helps students memorize information, like we're walking hard drives or something. Look, students don't need hundreds of practice problems to understand and memorize a concept. At that point, it's just mindless unpaid labor. All they need is a few practice problems that are thoroughly explained to them, which is exactly why work needs to be done in class, not at home. My teachers gave me atrocious amounts of homework that involved writing essays, research papers, and solving countless math and science problems.
I look at these, I would just take a picture, throw it into photomath, and it would just give me the solution. I have no time for this bullshit. I really don't. I wouldn't have time for this bullshit. As a student, if I was still in regular school, I would be like, you know what? Actually F off. Actually F off. Fun fact, for most of the homework I used during all my semesters, I used the internet to answer them, because the material that I receive to do all my homework is so minuscule that I just didn't give a rat's ass. I just looked up the solutions online with easier explanations. I didn't care. In China, kids need to do lots of homework. Some of them take 4 to 5 hours to do. Oh yeah, Korea is also one of those. South Korea is also one of those where like infinite amount of school.
At this point, just hand over my W2 already. What am I memorizing by doing all these things? What am I learning? Again, it's either pointless busy work or excessively challenging where I can't make any progress and have to teach myself. There's nothing in between. It's no wonder why the best performing education systems in the world give little to no homework. South Korea is ranked the #1 best education system. Denmark ranks 2nd best. Belgium is 4th best.
Yeah, but Korea, I wouldn't put Korea in there. Because while they do perform well, their students are under immense pressure. They're being crushed there, and it doesn't really fix anything because, well, you can use South Korea as an argument, but they're gonna, if they don't shift from this pressure, they're gonna die out, literally. So that doesn't work. Saying stuff in all Southeast Asia to real.
Best. Slovenia is 5th best. And these countries all assign very little homework, often less than an hour a day. You might be thinking, South Korea? Isn't that the country where students are literally unaliving themselves from being overworked? And yes, you're right. However, these students are overworked because of long school hours, cramped schools, and self-studying, not because of homework. South Korean students actually receive around 3 hours of homework a week, just like in Finland, which is significantly less than the USA. Think about that.
Germany down there with 4.1.
This is a country that doesn't give a single crap about students' mental health and overworks them to death. But homework? Nah, that's crossing the line. And that's a big reason for why South Korea and other countries I've mentioned have such high academic scores. So maybe if we want our countries to perform better, we need to stop giving so much homework and focus more on actual learning. Teachers should still provide homework, but it needs to be optional. Just a small boost for those who want the extra practice. But students should not be punished for not doing homework. And Christ, students definitely should not be punished for turning in homework late. That's a war crime. Our school system should be—
True, I think so. So what I believe is that once I'm a teacher, I will never or really rarely give my students homework. Rarely. When I was a student, my English teacher never gave us homework that wasn't desperately needed as like a preparation for like a next lesson. It rarely happened. What did happen is that he did force us to learn our vocabulary. However, if we were doing well, and he was testing if we did learn our vocabulary, if you were doing well and you did learn your vocabulary, you even got additional your grades got better, which was also really nice. I want to implement that system too because I've noticed that it really it gives the students that actually try a chance to be rewarded, and I like that system. So yeah, I would bring that back. That was a good system, and it really helped a lot of the students that were not as good but did try to learn their words. South Korea doesn't give homework because students are already going to be doing that in cram school most of the time. Both the school and the cram school teachers are the same. Yeah, right. They don't need to give up homework. I can't use that as an argument because, right, there is no room for homework because you're in school all day anyways. So why would you be doing homework? There's no homework because, frankly, there's no time for homework.
Be rewarding the students who understand the knowledge being taught. It's really that simple. If the student understands the information well, they should get a good score. The same way an employee who understands the job well should be hired. That's just how our society should function. So if a student clearly understands the information they've learned, then who cares if they did their homework or not? You already know that this student is adequate in their academic knowledge, so stop dragging.
Good thing is homework isn't graded here, at least in regular school. right? College, that's a different college, university, that's a different thing. But for school, that isn't really a thing. That doesn't really happen, which is nice. That's good.
Breaking them down. It's a very common occurrence that students do very well on their class projects and exams, but their grade gets lowered because they didn't spend enough time on homework. That is atrocious. Homework should not dictate a student's final grade. At the same time, many students put zero effort and do horribly on their class projects and exams. But because they use ChatGPT and plagiarize a lot of information from the internet, they get good scores on their homework and end up with a passable grade in that class. Yes, I'm looking at you. And this is the behavior.
Can't say I'm not part of this. Can't say no, I'm not part of this. I can't lie. I am a part of this. I am doing this, and I do not care.
That school systems are encouraging by assigning lots of homework. Do we want to grade students based on how well they actually know the information, or grade them based off the pointless busy work they get assigned? Homework gives students a lot of stress. 70% of high school students who took hard classes said they were often or always stressed over schoolwork, with 56% listing homework as a primary stressor. From my personal experience, I had trouble sleeping sometimes because I would overthink from schoolwork, thinking about all the assignments I had yet to finish, or about any potential mistakes I may have made on previous assignments. This stress from homework will hurt our productivity in other areas of our.
See, I don't wait for homework. I don't wait with homework. I immediately finish that. You give me something I need to do for the next week. I'm immediately finishing that on the train. I do not on the go. I do not care. That needs to be gone. I'm not gonna do this at home. I'm not gonna sit at home and do this. I'm gonna do that in the bus, in the train, while waiting for it. I do not care. But this needs to be gone. I will not be doing that at home. Fuck off.
Student life, like studying for tests or extracurricular activities. And look, I'm not claiming that students in the US are overworked. American teenagers are some of the laziest organisms on this planet. But when all our homework does nothing for us except load us with stress, it doesn't help our situation. It actually makes it even worse. We could spend that time doing productive learning and activities that help us in the long run if we weren't given so much homework. I'm a big believer that stress is a good thing. I believe that all the good things in life are worth the grind, and you definitely should challenge yourself. But if stress is there for absolutely no reason and it doesn't benefit you, then it's just not worth it.
Stress is not good either. Stress is the reason why the lion dies earlier than the lioness. Remember, boys, you may not feel stress as much, but it's still damaging. Stress is one of the core factors while the lion dies faster or earlier than the lioness. The lion should be concerned about stress.
If we look at this from the bigger perspective, having homework does not lead to more educated and intellectual societies. When we're forcing the youth to mindlessly complete busy work, what does that do for their intellect, creativity, knowledge, or curiosity? All of that time wasted on homework could have been spent on real, authentic learning and watching Dumanity videos, which you can support the creation of by subscribing and joining my Patreon. Homework doesn't prepare kids for college. Homework doesn't help a student with their AP exams, SAT.
Spoiler alert, school does not prepare people for young people for the adult life. College doesn't prepare. Especially if you take a ridiculous degree. I've watched a video recently. See, I watched a recent Metatron video about what kids or young college graduates are studying, or like their major, right? I don't think they call it major, they call it concentration now instead of major. I don't know why that had changed. Weird. It sounds weird. Just you say major, bro. What is wrong with you? And like there was like journalism and something about Native Americans and like as a major, and I'm like, how does this correlate? Like they had so many like made up major terms that I was like, how is what you're studying how is that correlating? What was one of the things? Like it was just crazy. I'm thinking about what like stuff. There was just like stuff where I'm like, Why did you study this? Straight into the unemployment line. No one of those people that they asked was studying anything that could be valuable to society. Nothing. None of it. Nothing. None of it. None of it. Like, they cannot. Straight into the unemployment line. Straight up. Goodbye. It's just crazy. It just is. We should give minors time to be minors. We shouldn't stress them out. We should give children the time to be children, I think. School does not prepare us for anything. It just is the truth, realistically.
College essays, or extracurricular activities. It doesn't prepare kids for getting a job and the real world. Some
job was censored.
might argue that it teaches them responsibility and hard work, but there are a million ways to teach a kid that. They can learn that from sports, chores, getting a part-time job, joining a club, community service. Homework is the least productive way to teach them that life lesson. We already discussed how students who get assigned less homework perform better academically, and that has a lot of implications. It means without homework, they'll learn better and faster, get better jobs, and contribute more to society. If this is what we want from the youth, then we need to get rid of homework.
I mean, see, this doesn't necessarily have a 100% correlation, right? It might not be the homework. It might be other things too. Though I'm pretty sure that homework might add to it because, well, it's just a waste of time and it's useless.
Okay, so if we stop assigning homework, then another problem will arise. What if students aren't learning well enough at school? What if they need that additional practice at home? Well, that's why instead of giving homework, we need to replace it with home learn. There's a very good solution to all of this. We can possibly increase the IQ of the human species by 22.5 points if we implement this solution, so hear me out. This is something called the flipped classroom. Our current education system works like this. Students learn and take notes in class and go home to do their work. And I think we all can agree that this is garbage. The flipped classroom model does this in complete reverse. Students do the work in class and do the learning and note-taking at home. The teacher would record a lecture video and provide resources, like a packet with all the information and visuals needed. There are two reasons why this genius innovation will permanently fix mankind. 1. It is much better for students to do work in class rather than at home. If the student doesn't understand the information, the teacher is right there to help. 2. It's actually significantly more efficient for a student to learn and take notes at home instead of in class, as they can learn at their own pace and can pause, rewind, and change the speed of the lecture video whenever they wish. You might.
It's also they can just like take a break if they feel overwhelmed, right? You can't just take a break in school if you feel overwhelmed. That just doesn't work. But if you do it like this. See, the problem is that he doesn't factor in one important problem, that you can only start doing this at a certain grade, right? You can't do this for first, second, third, fourth, possibly fifth grade. You can't really do that. You need to have responsible kids for that to be able. So this would probably, a method like this would probably be doable like fifth or sixth grade. Because, like, there's a lot of parents who wouldn't leave their fourth grader alone at home because, well, fourth graders are retarded. 10-year-olds are retarded. That's just the truth. But yeah, it's just like something that needs to be considered on what age range you're gonna push this. You cannot do it for first, second, third, and fourth grade, I think. But at fifth grade, you can attempt doing it. But it also requires for students to take a lot of responsibility, like for them being responsible for themselves. So that's gonna be rough. Won't work. Most students won't even bother to watch a lecture video, and then come to school and then ask a teacher for help. I've seen this far more in universities. That's what I'm like thinking. You need like the students to be very responsible, and they're students. They're kids. They're kids. They won't be doing that. They won't be doing that. They won't be doing that. That's the problem. Unless you would need to force them to do so. When you essentially would you would need to force them to do so. And I don't know how you would do that. There's nothing but add more stress. Yeah, my take education is the most important thing in the world, and it needs to be fixed so much. There's many interests to drop education for the masses by riches and politicians. they already pass and succeed. They don't want others to be on the same level to be able to rival their precision. Yeah, true. In school, you're struggling on a question you don't know, teachers are there, and when you do homework at home, there are questions which you won't know. Thankfully, we have AI now. That's like, I think most people, most students, that they think, do teachers truly think that like students are stupid? Most people will use AI, photo math, all that stuff. Like, how are you gonna prove that they essentially cheated? You won't.
Be thinking, isn't that just homework? Well, not really. You're not doing any actual work. Just watching a few videos to grasp the core concepts. It's effortless. It's significantly easier and faster than doing actual homework. It's not homework, it's home learn. I've always had a very difficult time learning math. I struggled so much to understand the concepts and what my teachers wanted from me, and I would always get low scores on the tests. But then I took AP Calculus. I thought it was going to be brutal.
Low scores isn't even what I would call mine. I failed. See, in high school, essentially the year is divided actually in two parts, right? So if you have 11th and 12th grade, you actually have this grade. They're basically graded 4 times, for like half a year each. I failed every math class. So 4 math classes. I failed all of them. And then I also failed the final as well. The finals for math as well. Skill and talent.
But it was actually the easiest class I've ever taken. It was literally effortless. Why? Because my teacher used the flipped classroom approach. Every time I didn't know how to solve a problem, I just raised my hand, and the teacher helped me understand right away. And whenever the whole class did the problems together, it was so easy to ask my classmates for help and to pick up on other people's work. And the best part of it all was that the so-called homework was pretty much non-existent. I just watched her lecture video and took notes for like 15 minutes, and I was done. I didn't have to solve any math problems on my own. It was the most genius learning system that led me to getting a 5 on my AP exam. So hopefully we can get more teachers to start using this approach. Our school system is here to help students learn, not work. If students are spending more time working than actually learning,
yeah, except that we're not learning. And I don't think it will change. Skill problem. Mister, I can't speak English properly.
That's how you know our education system is failing. Homework is horrible for students and horrible for our lives. It's a complete waste of time, just like watching brain rot on your phone. Brain rot is a massive problem that's affecting more than just children. If you want to learn about the dangerous rise of brain rot for adults, then click right here. Making these videos is really hard, so it would greatly support the channel if you guys can join my Patreon. For $3 a month, you'll be able to access all my exclusive videos where I'll post very frequently, and I will see you in the next video.
Yeah, get rid of homework. I agree. It's useless. It doesn't help at all. And it feels like a cheap excuse so the teachers don't have to put in the work that they would need to at this point. I feel like that's the truth. There's like many other problems that we need to solve before we remove homework, right? Currently we have a big problem where due to a large amount of immigration, we get also immigrant students, obviously. They don't speak German, so students greatly suffer because these students would actually first need to learn German before they could enter a regular class, which currently is not the case. That's, for example, one of the first things we need to fix here because it is bad for all students. They won't do that. We need to reform it because it's built to... Our educational system and many educational systems are built to create factory workers, which are not needed. The jobs that the school is trying to, so to speak, prepare us for won't exist in 10 years. That is just the truth, and there will be new job opportunities, or no job opportunities, if AI just takes every job. That's the problem we have. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.